So I watched this movie recently called Kumari, and I just thought it'd be a great idea to come here and talk about it a little bit. So the thing that really got me excited about this movie was it's actually a horror movie, and we haven't reviewed a horror movie yet, and actually is one of my favorite genres. I do like horror quite a bit, and I've watched quite a bit of horror, especially from Hollywood. But I've not really had the opportunity to watch a Malayalam, or to be honest, even in like just an Indian horror movie. But before I go to the movie, do stick around to the end because I have a little note I want to talk about the future of this channel and what we're trying to do here. The reason it sort of captured my attention, it's actually been on my list of movies to watch for a long time now, and I just have not got around to watching it. But the trailer for this movie, oh my god, it's honestly one of the best trailers that I think I've seen from any Malayalam movie that we've even watched or reviewed on our podcast so far. One sort of criticism, if you can call it that I've had on some Malayalam movie trailers is that they don't give you enough information. I feel like movies such as Rorschach, uh, it's a great trailer. There's some great images, but I had no idea what was going on. Same with the movie we reviewed recently, Nanpakal. Like, there's just not much of an idea as to what's actually happening in this movie. This movie, the trailer for Kumari was actually really great because it did this thing where it's essentially, it gave you enough mystery, but it sort of told you enough about what was going to happen in the movie as well. So I was already really latched on because I really like this, the supernatural theme, and that's embedded in the folklore of the Indian culture, and in this case, I guess kind of specifically the culture within Kerala, and I'm not sure where they are in this movie, but it's a bit more localized. I really like that about movies like Kantara, which I recently watched as well, which I thought was fantastic, and they infused that folklore and culture um, into the movie. So yeah, so there's a lot of reasons to sort of get excited about this movie. Um, The trailer was really a great selling point. So I was surprised it didn't really pick up and become as popular as maybe it could have been. And that's probably a good segue into sort of the movie and what I actually thought about this movie. So I'll start out with the positives. There's a lot to like about this movie. It's not all bad, despite the fact it didn't get the best reviews or the best critical acclaim. um, I don't think it really made all that much money, to be honest. It wasn't really even all that popular on Netflix, I don't think. So, but the positives are, look, I really like this film's look and aesthetic. It's got a real nice look to it. It's like a period piece. I was a bit confused about actually the timeline of this movie because, they're obviously in a village somewhere in Kerala, a really small place, it looks like. But they have things like there's no electricity in the houses. It looked like they were using like lanterns everywhere. Um, so it felt like it was from a different time. But then when I saw like I think there was one kid with like a very modern like schoolwear, and then I saw Kumari's brother come on a motorbike. So it definitely looked like it was from today's age, but you couldn't tell that from watching this movie. The set pieces were beautiful. It looked really nice, as I said. The costume design was great. Everyone, felt like they were part of the culture and what they were living in. So I thought the movie's look itself was really good. They used great lighting in some of the scenes with, the natural light from fire. Um, a lot of really beautiful greenery to show off the sort of village side and stuff like that. And some of the mountains and stuff. I've not seen this side of Kerala, to be honest. Um, so far, it's just not been seen in any of the movies that we have reviewed. That was a real positive. Another thing I really liked was just the background score. The music was great throughout. Really built that sense of tension, that sense of drama, and gave you this real to complement how the movie looked. It's just as important how it sounds. So this movie achieved that really well. The background score was amazing. Um, could just follow along with the music so well, and even like the songs were really nice. Like the introduction song when they introduce Kumari after the sort of the sort of the dialogue at the start where they're telling you about the whole, law and what's happened in the past. When they introduce her, beautiful. It's a really nice song. Um, so a lot of really good things to like about the movie's look and feel and sound. The other thing was, the performances I thought were great. You know, seeing one of my favorite actors once again, Shine Chacko. Uh, Yep, I'm really enjoying this guy's performances every time I see him. So it's great. He's having a looks like a kind of a huge year, or I'm not sure. Is this like a little golden period for him? I actually don't know much about him, but he's basically been one of my favorite actors in Bisham Parvam, in what you call it, in Talumala, and now this. So he's definitely a very dynamic actor, and I quite enjoyed him. The lead actress I thought was great as well. Um, Aishwarya Lekshmi. Hadn't seen her before, or don't think I've really. I can't remember from if I've seen her or not, but I don't think I have. But she was great as a lead. I thought she was really good, playing a pretty complicated character. Um, so yeah, some really good performances. I will pretty good segue into sort of the stuff I didn't like, and to segue me into that is the um, the makeup or CGI or whatever it was. On the positive side, they did a great job on the skeleton of the Lord who's stuck in time or whatever it was. I thought that was really well done. Like that actually looked really good. I really liked that look. It was a mix of must have been a mix of prosthetics and makeup and maybe some CGI as well. Not sure exactly how they did it, but that actually looked really good. And the voice not being able to speak properly, um, and all that, like the real struggle that he was having, the way he was moving, all trapped like that. It was kind of yeah. In terms of horror, that was done really well. Um, but yeah, onto the bad man, the negative points. Good transition from that makeup. Yeah, look the look of the demons, if you want to call them that. Yeah, it didn't really work too well for me. I was not convinced that these are actual, demigods or people with supernatural, beings with supernatural powers that were also demonic. At the start, it wasn't too bad when they're really keeping them in the shadows. And credit to the trailer for not showing that side of things, because I don't normally criticize movies too much around, the CGI and stuff like that, for especially movies with lower budgets. But yeah, it actually took me out of it. The end fight scene where the demons are fighting each other. Yeah, honestly, like I hate to say it, looked like a couple of Halloween costumes. Like it didn't look that great at all. So that was one really sort of negative sort of take I had on it, and yeah, that didn't work too well for me. More importantly than that, though, is probably just the writing of this movie. I think the writing was a little bit sloppy, a bit loose ended, is what I sort of mentioned while I was watching this movie, along with my wife. It was yeah, it felt like there's just some motivations weren't sort of that clear for some of the characters. Um, I didn't really feel like there was enough character development or understanding of both. The two main characters, both Kumari and Dhruvan. Bit confused as to what exactly they were trying to do with these two characters here. Like, I felt like Kumari seemed like she had entered this new relationship, this new chapter in her life, and that was set up quite well because of her, you know, societal pressure and all that stuff that she was going through. But then they sort of did a good job in starting the romance between the two characters. And Dhruvan almost seemed like he was a bit more, like it looked like he was a bit more misunderstood at the start than just crazy. Um, Obviously, seeing Shine, I just thought he was going to be another crazy character because he seems to seems to excel in these kind of crazy roles. But he seemed like at the start it was more like he was misunderstood than necessarily like bad or evil or anything like that, or just crazy. And Kumari itself, like I didn't understand outside of the marriage, like why was she so attached to this sort of story and this law? Um, I wish they had done something like either made her really, fall in love with the people of that new community of hers, or that she was really in love with Dhruvan. because they set that up. They set that up really well. At the start, it's actually, they have that small scene where he's very, to himself. And I actually thought that maybe he might not even know about, the bigger picture and what's happening behind everything. Or he knew, but he was kind of hiding it. So they set that up really well. There's a really powerful scene when, he lets her in, to his, his fortress, when he lets his walls down. I thought that was beautifully done. And I was like, wow, this is actually really touching. Unfortunately, it just was, thrown out the window, like almost 15 minutes later. So I didn't really know why Kumari just didn't go back. Like, why didn't she just ask her brother to come pick her up and take her brother or cousin brother, whatever role he had in her life, to come and help her out of this really messy situation where she's going to a cursed land and her baby would be, need to be sacrificed. Uh, After she found that out, she should have just got the hell out of there. Like, what was keeping her there? Didn't really understand that too much. Yeah, the setup with for the romance was great, but it was let down, or just let down almost straight away. What this also did was there wasn't really that much tension in this movie because of that. I think, like, I didn't really know why again Kumari was sticking around for one. I didn't really understand what the whole thing between the demons were. Like, it's almost like a power battle against the two, I guess, to curse this land or not to curse this land. Maybe I missed something here, but what they could have really done was one part that I think that could have really helped build the tension in this movie and make you really, on the edge of your seat as to what the decision making that Kumari would have to do would be like, if she had to have the moral dilemma of choosing between her baby or killing the villagers, and that was really a struggle for her, that could have been something that was explored a bit better. I don't think it was explored at all. Like, she was like, I'm a mother, I'm pregnant, and I'm not going to give my baby away, which is a very strong motivation to not give your baby away to be sacrificed by all means. But I don't know if they could have made her felt more remorse for basically, keeping the baby alive and killing off innocent people because of that. Whether it's the village workers or whether it's, Durwan's family, um, or just innocent people in general in the community. So that really didn't, as I said before, the motivations weren't clear from anybody. Kumari's motivations weren't that clear to me as to what she wanted, except for the fact that she wanted her baby to be alive, which is obviously a huge thing. But I wish there was a bit more on that. I would have been more invested in this movie if that was there. The whole battle between the demons as well, as I mentioned, I wasn't really on board as much for that movie or for that part as well. I didn't really understand what was a bigger picture here. Like, they at the start they showed, how that the Lord killed an orphan child who was best friends with the demon. Okay, that's great. And then, he goes to another demon to get rid of that curse. Why exactly what what is this all for? Like, they're just battling for cursing the land? Is that really the battle that we're meant to invest in here? Um I didn't understand the role of I guess the tribal community as well. Like, why were they so loyal towards one demon and not the other? Like, were they hoping that that demon would bring them prosperity or something like that and take them out of their own, poverty or struggles that they were going through in their life? I felt like they were more just, there for narration purposes or plot devices rather than having their own motivation, their own purpose on this land. That definitely could have been explored much better as well, I feel, but it just wasn't. Um, yeah, so that was some of my main criticisms of this movie. Like, look, I might sound like I really dislike this movie. Um, I don't just go as far as to say I really disliked it. It was interesting. It was engaging, even though there were some plot holes in the movie, plot holes or loose ends, whatever you want to call them. Some parts of this movie could have been explained better, and I think there could have been more emotional investment from us as an audience into the characters and the overall narrative of this movie if they had done things a little bit better. I think. Again, performances were great. Tom Chacko, I'm going to be watching much more of his stuff, obviously. Aishwarya Lekshmi was great. Music was great, but yeah, I could see why this movie didn't sort of get the um, the run that it probably should have. One last point before I sort of go on to my sort of rating system and my D scale and all that was the horror aspect of this was not really. It wasn't a horror movie that much, to be honest. It was a thriller. There were some jump scares, when they grab a shoulder and they scream, um, and things like that. So they did a few things like that well-ish, but I was never really scared in this movie. I think maybe the climax scene maybe might have been more scary if the costume design um wasn't so underdone or not that convincing. The demons. If a demon can get attacked by a human being, why are they so scared by this demon? Like, they were punching on with this demon at times. They were fighting with them. Like, I think um, Kumari even takes a blade and slices one. She like cuts one. So if that's how powerful they are, if that's how weak the demons are, why were you so scared of them? Yeah. So again, another part I didn't really work that well for me either. I will say though, overall, this movie has probably, I would say, on the D scale, it'd be probably like around about a 5 out of 10. So on the low side of defendable. I think it's a fun watch. It's something different, and it looks really beautiful. But the narrative is not so strong. And maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I didn't understand certain parts of this movie. But for me, it hits about um, it hits probably, I would say, a defendable. So yeah, 5 or maybe 6 out of 10 maximum. Before I move on, though, I just do want to sort of leave on a last comment about sort of the future of what we're trying to do here. Thank you so much for all the recommendations I have been getting lately. It's overwhelming to see so many awesome movies, so many good recommendations. Um, that I'm really just, reading just by the titles look excellent. So, I will be doing a lot more reviews. We'll be doing longer form reviews. We'll be doing shorter reviews as well, like this one. So a mix of both because we do want to cover off much more Malayalam movies on this channel here. So yeah, do stay tuned. If I haven't come to the movie you recommended yet, I'm not ignoring you. I promise it's on the list, and I will come around to watching it pretty soon. Um, so yeah, stay tuned. And again, thank you all for your support on the channel, and we're looking forward to talking to you more. But let me know what you thought about Kumari. Did you like this movie? Did you think it was a great movie? Did I miss something in this movie that maybe went over my head due to cultural reasons, or maybe there's some mythology I didn't really understand where this picked up from? Do let me know. And thanks, and I'll catch you on the next one.